All right, so Conor McGregor is coming back to the UFC. International Fight Week, the biggest star in all the combat sports, the two-weight division champion, the Notorious one, whatever you want to call him, he's coming back, and it is a rematch against Max Blessed Holloway, Maxie Baby, the former BMF, the best boxer in the UFC, brah.
The best boxer in the UFC, baby!
This fight is phenomenal. It's a rematch from the first fight that happened in 2013.
That's a fantastic fight, ladies and gentlemen!
When Conor McGregor was just on the come-up. When Max Holloway was known for being a really young fighter, but really good with good boxing, actually took Conor McGregor to the third round. Conor had to take him down in the third round because guess what? Turns out he blew his ACL.
I wanted to keep it standing and put him away. In the second round, I caught a kick, tried to advance it past his half guard, and he caught my leg in an awkward position, and my whole knee just popped out midway through the second round.
I was actually with Conor and his manager, Audie Atar, when Dana White came down. We were in Laguna Beach, California, told him to his face that he'd bust his knee.
He was on Jimmy Fallon. He's doing the rounds. It's my understanding that he went from New York and he's going to Vegas or California rather, and he's going to lock in the rest of his camp here. So I'm confident, unless anyone can get injured badly, things can happen in a camp. But I think he fully intends on fighting this fight.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think he intends on fighting this fight too. But what I'm saying is that you're supposed to say the right thing. You're not supposed to alarm people that, there's issues. And even in your head, you might think you're saying the right thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the right thing is going to happen. But I'm hoping, I'm positive, and I'm optimistic that the right thing will happen with Conor, and that he does do this fight, and then he does come back in April, and he does submit himself to the mercy of the game like everyone else. So I'm optimistic that those things will happen.
Yeah. What about the fight itself? I mean, we bring up all these hypotheticals if he could fight Justin Gaethje and all that. I mean, it's exactly a 5-year layoff. The current Kalshi market has him with a 34% chance to Max Holloway 66, which feels, a little more generous than I was expecting there. I don't know. How do you feel about this fight? Can Conor McGregor, are we just making fun games here for the sake of conversation, or is there a world where you see Conor McGregor actually winning this fight?
Against Max Holloway?
Yes, against Max Holloway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And the only reason why I'm saying that with this level of confidence is because he's done things before that we never thought he could do. So you kind of have to take him seriously when he says something. You have to. I've watched Conor. I was one of Marcus Brimmage's sparring partners when Marcus fought him. Oh, I'm just fighting this guy from Ireland. Now he's from Ireland. Who fight out of Ireland? Oh, this guy named Conor something. Oh man, he touched him up, right? And then he goes on this run. Then he fights Dustin, and we go, oh yeah, Dustin's the one who's going to save us. Dustin's our guy. And he knocks Dustin out. And you're like, wow, this guy. And then he goes on this run, knocking out all our heroes. You're like, damn, right?
They're a very familiar foe of yours. Max Holloway will be welcoming Conor McGregor back to the octagon next month, we all hope. If this fight does happen, it's at welterweight. How do you see this going? Can Conor do anything with the fighter you're probably more familiar with than anyone in Max Holloway?
Well, we know that Conor hasn't been in the game for a long time, and I think a lot of people are thinking that he's just going to lose everything, but that's not the case. He's going to be dangerous. He's obviously going to still be very sharp, very explosive, still got a good eye. Is it the exact eye that he had when he was double champ and doing what he was doing? No, probably not, but still going to be very dangerous. And I know Max is going to respect that. Obviously, they're going to want to put on a show, but at the same time, you're going to know Conor will be very dangerous early. I think Max will make the right decisions to not just get in the fire straight away, and then start to work him later in them rounds. Like we know that Conor, again, very dangerous, very explosive, but that is going to wear on you. And with that big layoff, even though he's probably training very hard, we know that that's going to eventually wear on him, and that sharpness that I reckon he still has is probably going to deteriorate a lot quicker because of he's been out of the game for so long.
Interesting that, well, first of all, moving way up in weight, which is no shock. I mean, McGregor, he's not going to make the weight that he used to make, not even close to it. It's been inactive, 4 years, over 4 years, whatever it is, a long time. And he was basically retired, living a certain kind of life, right? Let's face it. Not a real, not a life that was an athletic life, a life that was necessarily keeping him fresh or his body, ready. So he's got to come back. He knows what weight he can make. That's why it's at such a higher weight. So that tells you something right there where he is, physically, right? That he's not close to what he was. Not that we expected it, but that confirms it with that he needs that cushion of weight. Hey, look, McGregor he's another pioneer. I mean, he's a legend. He was a great fighter, and he's still a great promoter and a big name. He's still the biggest name in the UFC, like it or not. And first thing is that I think when my son says, tell me what you think, I won't be sure that this fight's going to happen till it happens.
The discussion around a potential clash between Conor McGregor and Max Holloway escalates daily, with anticipation reaching a fever pitch. Each passing day brings forth fresh forecasts and insights from former fighters, fueling intense debates regarding the ultimate victor in this highly anticipated matchup. While some pundits highlight McGregor's inherent strength and refined fighting techniques as his primary advantage, others firmly believe that Holloway's exceptional stamina and ceaseless motion will be pivotal for him to secure his long-awaited retribution. Amidst this flurry of differing perspectives, the central question persists: which prognosticator offers the most astute and well-reasoned prediction for the outcome of this compelling encounter?
Peak McGregor fever? Probably not. I don't think that's going to happen. Will it be still really big, and then especially still much bigger than the rest of the UFC pack? And you got to notice, dude, the UFC's been doing some, there's been some decline this year, but over the last couple of years, they've been doing huge gate numbers. I mean, we all know that, and I think Conor will definitely continue and then exceed that trend. I think the other part for me, though, I'm sorry, as a fighter, we'll talk more about the odds in a second. I'll tee that up here in a few minutes, but the guy hasn't fought since 2021. He hasn't got a win in almost, not quite, but almost 7 years. Okay. And remember, Chuck, the last time we saw him, people just forget about this. The last time we saw him, he broke his shin in half.
Yeah.
Right? That is a catastrophic injury. And Chris Weidman was never the same after it. Anderson Silva was never the same after it. They were just, the whole thing was a disaster for both of them. Now, granted, they were older, and I don't know. Well, actually, I'm not sure how old was Chris Weidman when he broke his shin in Long Island. Can you look that up?
How old was he? Mid-30s, but I'll look it up.
So Conor was what, 32 when he broke his shin?
Yeah, he was 32. Yeah.
So I mean, that's not super old, but it's not super young either. And in either case, just a gigantic.
He also, if you've been paying attention to Conor McGregor, he seems to be in better spirit, seems to be level-headed finally, and then also just looks healthier. I assume he's chilled out on the devil's dandruff and the old hooch, I would assume.
Did you see what he said about the contract, where they
he didn't give a lot up on the contracts. He wouldn't get into numbers. That's usually a red flag, meaning the numbers aren't as crazy as we think, because we're all gonna say, well, if they offer John Jones $30 million, what's Conor worth? Here's the issue with that, though. So we're all aligned going, oh, Conor's worth more than $30 million. I just think the UFC's all right, contractually, he has two. We're not going to pay him over $30 million. It's probably somewhere in the $20 million, 20 and 25, I would assume. Who knows? This is all just assuming here. But let's say, if they're paying Poatan 10, Conor has a little more leverage. Let's say it's around 20 is the ball.
That yes, 2026 is the year of the propeller hats. 2026 is the year where every single big fight, every single main event, where we look at it and we go, yeah, this guy's completely fucked. They win and they dominate and they make narratives look completely fucking stupid in hindsight, right? Chimaev, complete aura loss. Ilya Topuria, complete aura loss. Marab, complete aura loss. And I actually feel like we are living in the timeline where Conor McGregor comes back at UFC 329 and KOs Max Holloway, okay? When I talk about the matchup, I'm not just talking about, dude, Conor McGregor is a better striker than Max Holloway. I feel like, overall he kind of is. But listen, bro. Looking at the matchup, right? Obviously, there is a lot of question marks. There's a lot of things we don't know because we haven't seen Conor McGregor in the UFC octagon for 5 years. I totally understand that. I do not look at this betting line and go, these people are idiots. They should be picking McGregor. I'm not saying.
According to Thomas, the upcoming bout promises to be far more intricate than a mere test of raw power. Although he fully anticipates that Conor McGregor will unleash his characteristic formidable strength, Thomas expresses reservations about whether the Irishman has managed to preserve the remarkable speed and agility that once defined his fighting prowess. Conversely, Max Holloway's diverse arsenal of deceptive feints, unconventional angles and fluid combinations could present significant challenges for McGregor to overcome. Thomas posits that if Holloway can expertly maintain his preferred striking distance while consistently unleashing a high volume of strikes, the momentum of the fight will decisively shift in his favor, tilting the scales towards a potential Holloway triumph.
In terms of the actual fight, I guess, what is it? He needs to snipe him in the first couple of rounds. We're hoping Max Holloway's chin, after, you know, being untouchable for a decade, and he's now been dropped in 3 of the past 4. Like maybe it's just not there and he can land the right shot and power's the last thing to go type of deal.
Yeah, I think, well, Conor's still going to have that power. I just don't know if he's going to have the speed or the balance.
Yeah.
With the like having the balance with the speed. I think that in terms of foot speed, like Conor's always been great about understanding distance and creating angles and keeping people at the end of his punches to where he's really maximizing every shot and getting the most out of every shot. But Max Holloway is really crafty on his feet and creating like smaller angles to stay out of that range while giving you the illusion that you're in that range. And he's a volume puncher. And I think he might have the speed, like the speed in the combinations, like between his combinations, he might have more speed.
Taking his analysis a step further, Thomas unequivocally stated his conviction that Max Holloway's meticulous movements and ceaseless pressure would inevitably pave the way for his triumph. Should Holloway successfully evade the formidable reach of Conor McGregor's potent punches while diligently continuing to land his own strikes, the evening could prove exceptionally arduous for the Irish combatant. Thomas suggested that an initial flurry of blows might serve as a stark reminder to McGregor of his recent setbacks, potentially eroding his self-assurance under the immense pressure of the moment. Rather than fixating solely on delivering a decisive knockout, Thomas asserted that McGregor ought to primarily concern himself with Holloway's precise, sharp combinations and the relentless sustained pressure they are designed to exert throughout the fight.
If he could avoid staying out of Conor's, danger zone, and just, just kind of off to the side of in the angles, I think he touches Conor up, and I don't think Conor will do well if he starts getting touched up. I think after being out for so long and what has happened to him in his last couple of fights, I think if he starts getting touched up, it's going to be traumatic. It's going to trigger him that, oh no, I got knocked out by Dustin, and afterwards I got my leg broke. I think it's going to trigger him, and he's going to have a bad experience. He's going to get touched up and find a way out. So it's going to be Max's job to just really put his hands on him.
However, not all observers are convinced that Conor McGregor's palpable self-belief is merely a calculated public relations maneuver. Brett Okamoto, for instance, is convinced that McGregor's confidence is entirely authentic, rooted deeply in his initial confrontation with Max Holloway, where he secured a victory despite enduring a severe injury during the actual contest. The historical fact of McGregor having already bested Holloway once before instills in him a genuine conviction in his capacity to replicate that success, thus setting a compelling backdrop for their impending rematch. When McGregor references their 2013 encounter with Holloway, asserting that he is facing the same opponent once more, a crucial question arises: does he genuinely believe in his own resurgent capabilities, or is he primarily focused on simply escalating the hype surrounding this much-anticipated upcoming fight?
When he talks about Max Holloway and says, hey, this is the same guy that I fought in 2013, what's your reaction to that? And do you believe he actually believes this, or do you think he's just kind of trying to build the fight?
I think he has to believe in it to a certain extent. Like, not that he thinks he's the same guy skills-wise, but like, I beat this guy, which means I'm going to beat him again. I think that's probably kind of human nature. That seems like the kind of philosophy that he would take. And he's doing it to build a fight, but also for himself. I think that like who is this guy? I beat him with one knee the last time. Like, I tore my ACL and I beat this guy. Like, you telling me I can't beat this guy again? So I think it's good for his psyche, and I think it's not a bad line to sell the fight. I gotta believe that Conor also knows that he's watched a few Max Holloway fights since then, and that he needs to be prepared. And I think he's been preparing.
Okamoto emphatically dismisses the notion that Conor McGregor is engaging in self-deception regarding his prospects against Max Holloway. Instead, he maintains that McGregor has closely observed Holloway's ascent in the sport and is acutely aware of the significant transformations the fighter has undergone. Nevertheless, Okamoto highlights a critical distinction. Placing trust in McGregor's intrinsic abilities is not the same as having firm expectations for his ultimate success. He readily acknowledges the immense difficulty of confronting a formidable opponent like Holloway after an extended absence due to a severe leg injury, characterizing it as one of the most extraordinarily challenging assignments in the realm of combat sports. Should McGregor indeed manage to pull off a victory, such a triumph would immediately propel him into the heart of the title contention, potentially paving the way for a high-profile matchup against a formidable adversary such as Justin Gaethje. Brendan Schaub, for his part, believes McGregor is currently in a more advantageous position than he has been in recent memory, pointing to his composed demeanor, exceptional physical conditioning, and intense mental fortitude as clear indicators of a promising comeback. Schaub also delved into the commercial aspects of the fight, speculating that McGregor's new UFC contract might be more modest than anticipated, potentially ranging between $20 and $25 million. He put forth an intriguing hypothetical scenario, wondering about the immense impact if the UFC had orchestrated an event featuring McGregor and Holloway at the White House, a move that could have generated unparalleled public interest and media attention. If McGregor successfully navigates past Holloway, the array of future opportunities becomes boundless. Israel Adesanya envisions a potential showdown between McGregor and Justin Gaethje as an event of colossal global significance, notwithstanding the formidable challenge presented by a severe leg injury, which he considers among the toughest assignments worldwide. Furthermore, Okamoto recognizes the UFC's eventual capacity to orchestrate a fight between Islam Makhachev and Conor McGregor, citing the protracted rivalry between their respective camps as a foundation for a truly spectacular contest. Mende fondly recalled the electrifying atmosphere of the Khabib fight, expressing confidence that another McGregor showdown would invariably capture a similar level of intensity and excitement. While a segment of the audience remains unconvinced that McGregor's comeback is anything more than wishful thinking, several analysts contend that it would be a grave error to dismiss his chances against Holloway, particularly given the recent trend of fighters emphatically silencing their detractors with dominant performances leading into 2026. McGregor's distinctive striking prowess and the sheer unpredictability of his return transform this into a far more perilous matchup than many fans are prepared to concede. His prospects hinge almost entirely on arriving in the octagon in peak health and having undergone thorough preparation. If that optimally conditioned version of McGregor steps into the cage, the stylistic pairing becomes considerably more intriguing, with McGregor potentially leveraging his effective kicking game to exert pressure on Holloway and disrupt his customary rhythm.